Next, what we're gonna do is, based in a specific query, which is missing this one here, based in a specific query, we will print a report based in that query. That we're gonna do. Basically, we'll get both data from the sales and from the purchases, and based in that information, we want to show that specific data. So let's go back to our Bloxtor, show the advanced items. Let's create here a new query. Let's create here a new file. Let's call it products. And in here, let's add a new query. It's going to be a select. And this will be get products in and out. In and out. And in here, what we want to do is to disable the SQL server so we can have the SQL for ourselves. And what we want to do is select. So we want to select the product sales and the product purchase. So we want to select the purchase ID. Now let's enable this so we can do like, let's do this via Y, which is much easier. So we want to get the product purchase first. We want to get the purchase next. So we want to get this one, this one, this one, all of these. Create a date. Basing this one here. So this will be product purchase. So let's copy paste this query and let's test this. Or press Ctrl. Okay, this is not correct. Let's see it why. In here. Okay, now this is correct. Let's call it here purchase name. Purchase name, products, blah blah blah. Okay. Okay, so this is one query. Then we want to do the same thing for the product sales. So we want to do this. Now we want to do a union. Instead of being product purchase, is product sale. And in here will be sale ID, sale, product sale, price, text total price, and there is no expiration. But we still need to have expiration. We can put it like this. Description and create a date. Product sale, sale. Let's see if this works. Okay, done. Okay. Now what we want to do is to show all of these. Order by created dates. Okay. Let's see what's wrong. It's this. Okay, perfect. Now it is correct. So based on this query that we have here, now I want to show this query in an Excel report. So how do I do that? Well, before doing in the Excel report, let's do this in a page. So let's call, we can create the logic code from here to call this specific query, or we can do it directly from the page. So let's do this, let's call it products in and out. Products in out. And in this products in out, we want to show here specific query. So what we want to do, let's create here our own interface to create that specific table. So we want to have a div, so basically we want this div to be dynamic type, will be a main list group, or it could be a list group. Then we want to show this in the table, insights, and this table will have how many columns? So we'll add that after. Okay. So let's do execute SQL here. Let's put the SQL here, so we know how many columns we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 columns. So let me drag and drop this again. So these will be rows and columns. So it'll be 4 rows and 11 columns. Okay. Purchase ID. Purchase name. Just easy, just do like this. Yeah. So this will be the purchase ID. No, this is the purchase name. Purchase name. This is going to be product patch. Quantity. Well, let's change this query just to be simpler, because it is too big, just to make our life easier. So let's just come here and let's just add, like, we don't want the batches, we just want to have products, the quantity, we just want to have the total costs, quantity, total price, expiration date doesn't matter, description doesn't matter. Okay. Now as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's leave this as it is in here, but in here we don't need to show all of this. So what we want to show is just quantity in here, quantity, the products. So in here, instead of being the product ID, we could have the product name, in here. So this still works. Product name. Yeah, of course. And here is product sale. Product ID. Yeah. Okay. Now it is correct. Okay. Okay, perfect. So quantity, so we have the name, products, and here will be products, and here will be the purchase name, we can do like this, quantity total, quantity total, and let's put it date. I'll leave these as they are. Okay, so then what I want to do is I need to select the table, I need to convert it to a list table is already. Okay, so now I want to select this row here, and I want to make it as the row item. Okay, it's already. Then this one, I want this to be the loading one. We're in here. I want to add an attribute called spam 11. Called spam 11. I can simply now erase these ones here. I go to the table, it's just easier. So then this one, resource attributes. This will be the purchase ID. This will be the purchase name. This will be the product name. Here. This will be the quantity. So I have two quantities. This will be the total costs, and this will be the created date. This will be the created date. Now, the table itself, or even the lists, in this list resource, we want this to be load tree list on page loads, and we want to get all the in this case we want a specific resource that we didn't create it yet, that we can simply call it here, which will be called iBatish rule, which is that rule that we created. And we can call it here products. Save, and when we preview this page, here it is. Additionally, we have a purchase. I don't want this to be purchase, I want this to be operation. Operation ID, operation name. Operation name, maybe we want to add something, some other fields in here, which will be, so I want to add something here in the query that we didn't do, but so in here, well, we can call this units in here we can call it total units, in here we can call it total, and additionally we want to call it, in here we want to show this one, well, out, let's call it out, it should be operation type, in, so we can basically know the differences between ins and outs. Okay, in and out, so bought or purchase or a sale, something like this. Okay, and so in here let's add a new column also, so let's look here table. That's one. Okay. One. Okay. And now I want to move this up. responsive. Responsive. Can have my scroll. Okay, it's fine. Okay. This is the column now. This is not what I want to. It's this one here. Okay, now it is correct. Okay, so this one will be type of operation, operation type, whatever, operation type, and in here display resource attributes will be operation type. That's the name that we gave, correct? Yes. Okay, operation type. Here. All of these, okay. So this should be operation ID. Name, operation ID, operation name. So, okay. And in here, this needs to be operation ID, and here operation name, product name, quantity, total, created date, save. Okay, and here it is. Okay, perfect. Now let's say that we want to have this information here in an Excel report. So we can close these guys here, we can close these. So if you want this to be in an Excel report, or in this is for the product, so we can add some link in here to open that page in the products page, and then we can do that to call an Excel report. So in here I want to add a new link, which will be in ouch. Get as report. Now it's okay, it's working. Okay, now we want this to be in an Excel report. So I can put here a link in here, call it get as report. Get as report, and what this will do, it will trigger in here a new event call single action, execute single action. That single action would be, let's call it report, and in the resource we call it the type of resource called report, and in here let's call it the name report also, and then in here, so let's create here a group called report zone executed. Here calls Ibatish using a variable called p. Now it works, okay, here it is, the correspondent Excel based in this table that we just created. Additionally, what we can have in here is a search bar, so you can filter the in and out operation types. How can we do that? Okay, first of all, so in here we can add like a select field, a combo box field, drop down fields, where we can add in here, we can add the name of that field. Let's call it operation type, where we can tell it that we should add two options, well, three options, one which will be empty, another one which should be operations in, and another one that should be operations out, in, out, and the labels will be the same. It could be in, out, and in here will be all, something like this. This will be the default selection that we have. And then what we need to do is, we need on the events, we need to set the dependency type. So the dependence, we want, every time that I change this, I want this to load the dependencies. So the on change event, I want this to load the dependence based on that value. Refresh the dependence based on the input value. So when we refresh this, if we do some inspect, when we change this, I can see that it's sending a request to the server with this search with operation type equal to 1, equal to in. If I change, it shows equal to out, otherwise it shows equal to empty. So what we need to do is, in the resources, in this part of the resources in here, not only to, instead of only calling this, we need to change this to the logic side, and then in the logic side we need to parse these specific search attributes that we are receiving. So first of all, let's prepare the query to receive a specific condition, where in here we need to do something like this. So this is This is a keyword in our system that then will be replaced in the logic part. We need then to move this above here, so the order needs to be the last statement, and this is not searching condition, this is searching condition. So then we save this and we close this pop-up. Now we need to change this to be here in the logic. So let's put this in the product service. Let's create a new method called, let's say, get int and out. So now in here we can call our ibatish query that we just created. And automatically, as you can see, it's here the parameter that we defined, the searching condition that we defined in the query, as you can see here. So now we need to put here the corresponding SQL statement. So we can do that through logic codes, or we can call a function that we already have that does that. But for now, let's just put some dummy data code here, and let's return these results that coming from the database, which is a list of records. Let's return it to a variable called results. So then we can simply return that results. Now, this method here that we are creating, it will receive a variable called conditions, which will contain this array here, this variable, which will be a list. So we need to define that specific input, which will be called conditions. Why this needs to be conditions? So we have already a function that will parse these specific inputs and will check if there is an input called conditions. It will create automatically that specific searching condition attribute with the SQL statement. So where can we see that? So if we show here the advanced items, if we go here to the common, if we do the toggle item methods and the same thing here, we can see here that the common service, that this method here, the product service, extends the common service. So we can see that if we click Control key and together in the product service, we can see that it extends the common service, which is this method here, and this method will have these methods, and which means that the product service can access all these methods as they will be inside of here. So which means that if the method that we want to use is this one here, the prepare input data, that basically will get the conditions and will convert that conditions into a SQL statement and will put it in another item called searching condition. So let me show you. So if I press Control and these methods, I can see here if there is the conditions inside of the input, I can see that it's setting a new input called searching conditions with the corresponding SQL statement. So this means that we can simply in here, we can call this method here. So let's call here the call object method, where since this method is inside of here, I can simply call it in here the self, which is the self, the product service, and in here I can call it the prepare input data, where this is static, so you can see that this is static through here. So this is a static method, and now this method receives an argument, a data, where you can also see in here the arguments receives the data and doesn't return anything. So we can just put here the input data that we receive in this service, in this method that we are creating here, and we can simply save this. So basically what we are doing here is we are calling the prepare input data, where basically, well, first of all, we are calling this service with the data variable, and that data variable, that input will have the conditions item, and that conditions item, then we are calling the prepare input data, and that will parse, this method will parse that conditions item inside of the data, and it will create a new item called searching conditions inside of the data. So then we can pass in this method here that's variable, the variable data, or we could call in here the data searching conditions, or we can simply pass here the variable called data, and then we return these results into these records into a variable called results, and we return that specific result. So we can see that in codes we are calling the prepare input data, we are calling the ibatish query, and we are returning that results. That's it, very simple. So then we can go back here to our products in and out and continue our changes. Now that we already have our logic created, we can go back to our resource, and in the products resource, instead of calling an ibatish rule, we want to call a business logic rule, where in here we select the new service that we created, and in the conditions we want this to be a variable from post, which will be the search attributes, which is these ones here, search attributes. Okay, and we save. This is the Sola. For some reason is not working fine, but set a class called form select, so this can be a little bit more beautiful. Float start. Dependencies widget list one. The events. Refresh dependent widgets based in this is the notifications. No, okay, something is wrong here. No, this is not correct. Okay, because now I have because before when I had created the notifications, the widget list one now is that widget, that list. So we have two repeated widgets list. That's why. That's the problem. We have two repeated widgets list one. We have this list and we have this list here. So we need to go back to the template. We need to change that. We need to change these names. So this needs to be, let's put it 100 in here. Okay, should be fine. Okay. Now when I change this, it's not loading anymore. Okay, at least this is fixed, this problem here. And then in here I don't have any name. Okay, so I need to give a name in here. Widget lists, this is operations. Okay, that was the problem. Okay, I didn't have gave any name. Okay. Now when I refresh this, if I change this, it is refreshing. Now with the correct now is not this is not sending the right data in here. So what we need to do is, we know that is sending the correct information here, operation type. In here, the problem is in here. This probably we are passing this through get and not through post, and that's the error. To save. So if I refresh this page now, unknown status. I believe it's because of this. This needs to be products. Okay, now it's working fine. Okay. If I change this, it shows me only the ins. If I change this, it shows me only the outs. Now it's working fine. If I change all, I need to change this. Sync to be get all. So in here the events is not refresh dependent widgets based on input, but it is refresh dependent widgets based on input, but if empty get all. So 1, 2 and all. Now it is correct. Okay. So this is a way of doing searches. Instead of having a select field, I could just put a simple input, so I could type whatever I want to, and I could change the styling too of this. So okay, so summary, this is done. Also display, okay, this is done. Now we just need to do the optimizations part, which is this part here. So this will be in the next tutorials. Let's just do some overview of what we have done in this tutorial. So basically create a bunch of reports in Excel or in directly in a page to be printed as a PDF. and before that we create a bunch of pages with our database structure, so we could manage our stock management with different types of user interfaces. What we're going to do next is just complicate a little bit more with two simple optimizations, where we're going to change the categories, and probably we're going to change add some attribute in the products, so we can make this active or inactive.